I did want to ask this, though. The Browns have the number 2 pick in the draft.
Ooh.
And if you go back to last season, the Washington Commanders went from essentially worst to first, number 2 pick, to now an NFC championship team, or at least during the game. I saw more tweets than I expected saying, oh, that could happen to the Browns next year. Before we go into whether or not you believe it can, Steve, take this graphic. I just want to highlight some of the changes that happened in Washington.
It's actually happened 2 years in a row with the number 2 pick.
Well, not all the way to the championship game.
Well, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
Houston.
It's quickly turned around teams with the second pick in the draft.
Fair enough. These are some
but
of the
they all
changes
had
that
the same thing happen. They got new head coaches.
Yeah.
And new quarterback.
new quarterbacks.
in Washington's case, they also did this. They got a new owner.
Yeah, and
by
new
the
GM.
way.
True.
A new GM, a new head coach, both new coordinators, and they revamped their entire defense. 8 of the 11 guys that were top 11 in tackles on the team were not on the roster last year.
Yeah, but their defense wasn't that good.
Brought it in. No, it was 32nd last year. They finished 16th this year. So
Yeah, but I'm saying they still weren't that good on
middle
defense.
of the pack. So my question to you guys is, the Browns have the number 2 pick. All signs point to them probably taking a quarterback. Could the Browns be the next Commanders or, to Bull's point, the revamp of the 2023 Texans and going number 2 pick, take a quarterback to a playoff threat in 2025?
The question is, can? Absolutely they can.
Yeah.
Anybody can. Like that's yeah. Will they? I don't know. I have to see what they do. I got to see what tweaks they make to the roster, man. Like it's like, and I got to see what tweaks they do to. I guess the coaching staff is pretty solidified at this point, right? They hired an offensive line coach, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike Bloomgren.
Yeah.
Bloomgren, the old coach at Rice.
Yeah, and then they got an OC. Man, like when I look at this team and I think about just the season that we had, are they a quarterback away? No, I think it's more than that. I was with G. Bush when y'all had that argument. I think it's more than just the quarterback away. So yeah, I got to see some of the other ones because I almost called them the Redskins. What the Commanders did.
I just did.
Yeah, I know. What the Commanders did was they got Jayden Daniels or not just him, but that team, they went and got veteran players that's had a ton of success, but maybe only have like 1 or 2 years of good play left. Bobby, Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz. Those top 3 names come to mind when I say this statement.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I see the Browns doing that? Like are they going to get a Bobby Wagner type line? Because we need one.
Why not?
Who is out there?
Well, I don't know, but here's the thing. Here's why the answer is obviously yes, it can happen. There's no doubt it can.
Yeah,
Will it?
that.
I don't know that there's a player good enough. Here's the but. Now, Washington and Houston the last 2 years both had an advantage that the Browns don't have. They're not. Washington plays in the NFC, which is obviously not as good as the AFC. There's not. Most of the good young quarterbacks are in the AFC. Houston is in the AFC, but they're in the worst division in the AFC. So, like, if Houston were in another division, they might not have made the playoffs this year. Well, again, who knows? But they might not have. So the Browns have the challenge of being in a tough division where there's two of the 4 best quarterbacks in the league and a Steelers team that's always competitive. So that makes it challenging. But if you told me that the Browns were able to draft the equivalent of Jayden Daniels or C.J. Stroud, then absolutely they could turn it around in 1 year. Now, I don't know if that's possible because I don't know if there's a quarterback in this draft that's as good as either of those guys. It's probably not likely. There's a lot of people that think Caleb Williams is already a top 5 quarterback, which is nuts because, I'm sorry, Jayden Daniels. But you always got to do it 2 years before I can put you in the conversation.
Right.
But last year we were like, C.J. Stroud, best rookie quarterback ever. Now this year, Jayden Daniels, best quarterback. I mean, he's been amazing.
So that means
amazing.
That means that the guy we take is going to be.
He's got to be amazing.
He better
Which
be.
is hard to do. But yes, this idea, like I saw my boy Darryl Ryder, love you, Darryl. We worked together for many years.
Yeah.
But I see Darryl saying, well, these playoff teams, the Browns are miles away. That's easy to say. Everybody was saying the exact same thing about Washington last year. The exact same thing. And again, let me make it clear. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't know if any of these quarterbacks are good enough. But I don't think, now, and this is coming from, by the way, maybe the only person that picked Washington to go to the playoffs. Nobody else was picking Washington, even with Jayden Daniels. Nobody was picking Washington to go to the playoffs except for me.
You go, Bull.
There you go.
NFL expert.
No, not really, but close enough. Anyway, but here, if the Browns, for Darryl say, the Browns are so far away. Yes, they're so far away as long as they need a quarterback. But if by some chance they are able to get a quarterback, and you want to say, well, it'll never work that way for the Browns. Has Washington been a good organization? Has Cincinnati been a good organization? Has Houston been a good organization?
Cincinnati was a good organization.
No, they won.
They had Carson Palmer, Chad, and them.
That was a while ago.
TJ, who's
okay,
mama?
the Bengals have been a better organization than the Browns.
Yes.
But they were still considered amongst the bottom of the barrel. Before they drafted Burrow, they'd been terrible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They'd been terrible for a number of years.
They've experienced
okay,
success.
yes, not as bad as the Browns, fine. But Washington's been horrible for like 25 years.
I agree with that
But Bull,
statement.
you got it. Here's our problem.
Yeah.
We are trade down Charlies. We in this fan base.
You think they're going to trade down?
Bro, there are so many people that sound so stupid.
Saying trade the pick?
Traded and get multiple picks. Now, here's the thing. Here's the problem I got with folks.
Oh, man.
We just sat here all year, and all we talked about was how trash the quarterback was.
Well, not Sean King.
The whole year.
Who'll be on my podcast tomorrow, by the way.
We talked, hey,
out to
listen,
Sean.
we got the worst quarterback in history. Deshaun Watson is trash. I can't believe they're trotting him back out here. Jameis Winston is a retread. DTR is an XFL quarterback. You've been telling us. You told us that all year.
Yeah.
Now you get to the promised land. You right at the gates of heaven with the number 2 pick. But you want to punt and tell me maybe we can have a dream about Arch Manning 36 months away from now. And ain't nobody good. You ask him, well, what about you want Kirk Cousins? I don't want him. You want Justin Fields? I don't want him. You want to bring back Jameis Winston? I don't want him. What about Shedeur Sanders? He ain't good. I don't like his dad. Cam Ward? I don't know. He plays like Deshaun Watson. I don't know. He plays like
Aren't you supposed to, in the draft, you're supposed to recruit the talent? And then the coaches got to take over. But the thing is, if the guy don't have the talent, it's hard for the coach.
We don't believe. Listen, at some point, you got to be able to coach somebody. I don't think.
I agree that if that's the case, then these coaches been stealing money from
He has.
That's my issue for the past.
It's 5 years. If Kevin Stefanski
is stealing money,
is the guru you say he is.
Yeah.
If you said Kev got to stay, Kev is here. We like Kev. His playbook is great.
That's what Bull said.
Then he has to take a quarterback in this draft. Yep. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, or you got a coach stealing money. He has to take a quarterback because that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
He's not there to look cute and pretty. He calls plays and is a quarterback whisperer. Yeah. And if he does not take a quarterback in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, he's a fraud. You can't come up here. You can't come here and say, give me a left tackle. What? Left tackles don't get you the Commanders.
He also said that the game is won and lost in the trenches, which I respect.
Left tackle to protect who?
Thank you.
Draft the left tackle at 33. 34.
Dustin.
By the way, one thing I would disagree. I agree with G. Bush's rant, but the one thing I'll disagree with is Kevin Stefanski is pretty. Let's be honest about it.
He is. He got a nice beard.
He is probably the best looking head coach.
He got the dust and salt and pepper beard.
I mean, he's the best looking coach in the league, isn't he?
Better than McVay?
He's got a little George
Oh, he
Clooney
thinks
going
better
on.
looking than McVay.
Yeah.
They all ugly.
I think McVay in better shape.
Stefanski's got better hair.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Got the better beard. Got a nice beard going.
McVay can't even grow the whole beard, and it's blonde, so it's like hard.
They all
Dustin,
terrible.
what do you think about the potential turnaround from number 2 pick to
Oh yeah, listen,
playoff?
it could happen overnight. The one thing that the Washington Commanders had that the Browns will not have is new owners. And,
true.
And I do think that culture internally is
true.
the biggest problem with the Browns. It's not the people drafting the quarterbacks. It's the people who pick the people who pick the quarterbacks.
Yeah, right.
You know. So, with that being said, you can still get lucky.
Yeah.
You got to keep swinging for the fences every time, and that's why they're going to take a quarterback at 2. People are like, yeah, we don't need that. But listen,
what's your thought?
They're going to take a quarterback at 2.
What's your thought of them taking multiple quarterbacks?
Yes, do it.
I'll take it.
Yes.
Give me one.
Every year.
Take 2 and 5.
Every year.
I'll give you 2 of them.
Every year.
I want to go back.
I'm serious.
I know y'all are.
Dead serious too.
No, that's not a crazy thought. And we're going to do over the next week or so a whole history of quarterbacks taken number 2 overall and a whole history of the second quarterbacks taken in a draft. If it's not 1-2, it's 1 and whatever. And we'll go over the list and try to figure out how these guys compare to some of the other guys in previous years, which have been selected with that number 2 selection and just the second quarterback.
Let me ask you this before.
Let me see that Shador Cam stat line. That's all I want. I just want to see it one more time. I just want to see. I want to see their touchdowns to pick ratio.
This is for career, by the way.
They're about the same.
He only threw 13 picks his whole life?
Yeah, he's very, very.
Right. Well, we don't know how many games. What's the games comparison? Cam Ward's played more games.
Does that include the FCS?
That's good.
Let me text Earl. Earl made that.
That's
graphic.
Cam's. That's Kevin Stefanski's dream right there.
I mean, he done played 4 years, and he didn't
Obviously, Cam Ward played a lot more games.
Did he?
Well, I mean, he's got way more yards. It's got to be. The numbers are much higher. He's got to. He had to.
No, those are just his yard. Those are just his numbers from Colorado.
Okay, so it's only 2 years.
Yeah, 2
Cam
years.
Ward's how many years there?
3 years.
Yeah, that's not fair. I mean, the completion percentage, quarterback rating, but the passing yards and touchdown INTs got to have context.
And let's be clear, he played at Washington State. I mean, it's a difference. I mean, they're playing. Washington State is never going to the game favorite on talent. Like
No, they're like
They
17-point dogs.
They beat Wisconsin like 2 years when he was there.
I mean,
By the way,
I know because I was covering the game.
for all the people that are saying, and I don't know how good these quarterbacks are going to turn out in this draft. We discussed earlier that it's very rare for a draft to have not one successful quarterback, let alone multiple. But let's go back to last year for a minute, all right? And I'll give Arizona a pass because they had Kyler Murray, and I'll give the Chargers a pass, obviously, because they have Justin Herbert. But if you look at the teams that didn't draft a quarterback in the top 10, look at the Giants and the Titans. Both needed quarterbacks. Did not draft quarterbacks.
Well, they took Will Levis the year before, and they
but he wasn't a first round pick.
He wasn't.
He was the 33rd pick.
Yeah, all right, fair. The Giants, though, drafted Malik Neighbors. Very good player.
Very good.
Don't you think every Giant fan wishes they would have drafted Bo Nix?
Of course.
Or Michael Penix instead of Malik Neighbors?
I think it depends.
You're a Giants fan.
Yeah, it just depends on what you thought of those guys. Like, obviously.
Well, but of course at the time, but now.
I'm saying right now.
Wouldn't you rather have Bo Nix than Malik Neighbors?
Nah, not really, to be honest.
Well, you're out of your mind.
No, because you have to hope. I hope the guy they draft is going to have a higher ceiling than Bo Nix. And then you pay him.
But think about it. So this is
hold on.
But the Giants.
If Malik Neighbors wasn't an absolute freaking stud, then yes.
But
he turned out to be, on that level of guys that you.
He wasn't even the best rookie wide receiver.
Think about it like this, Bull.
Brian Thomas.
That's not true.
Oh, that's 100% true.
That's not
Yeah, Brian Thomas.
Stat-wise?
Go ask Sean King. First of all, it's not just about the stats.
Here's the thing. But if you are the Giants, you passed last year, right? So you got Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
They got to get a quarterback this year.
They're at the third quarterback.
So now, if the Browns take the quarterback, then
Giants are screwed.
Then you're screwed. So the thing is, when you need a quarterback and you say, "Well, I'm gonna push to get a better one," you're not getting a better one. Yeah. You're gonna end up with like the bag.
I agree with that part of it.
I can't believe that you would rather have Malik Neighbors than Bo Nix. Now, Bo Nix has got to do it for a second year. But I don't care how good your wide receiver is. If you don't have a quarterback, you got nothing.
I can't believe that comment just happened. But okay, you don't like Bo Nix. That's something.
I didn't like Bo Nix coming out of college, I don't know. He looked great as a rookie.
But I know they had a dumpster fire just like we did.
I saw the dumpster fire that they had last year, and that's all what this guy put out.
And by the way, Bo Nix had probably, outside of Drake May, had less talent around him than any quarterback in the league.
They have Sutton, and I don't even know who they got.
Nothing. They got no running backs. They got nothing. Cortland Sutton is their only skill position player that is even average.
They need to put Surtain at slot.
What's the fast dude?
He's a rookie. I don't know. They drafted like 14 wide receivers. Oh, he's not a rookie. No,
he's second year. But still, it's not a highly.
They had no talent around him. No. The guy was fantastic.
I don't know. I think there's a ceiling with Bo Nix.
And here's the thing. We find out, I just did this for Ultimate Browns. When you sit here and during the season, when you ain't got no young quarterback, you have no hope. Nothing.
When
you watching these games, it don't be nothing inside your soul. You be like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. You already know it. You already know it, Dustin. The players know it. You know it. Everyone in the stands knows that you're cooked. This is a farce. At least if you give me a young guy, I can at least hope and dream that he ain't gonna turn out to be something great.
You think there was a single Steeler fan that thought
No.
the Steelers had a chance to win the Super Bowl
None.
this year?
Yes.
No way.
They don't.
No way.
Quarterback,
and
no chance.
it was. Let's face it.
No.
Last year with the Browns, there was no way. Even if they had beaten the Texans, they were not winning a Super Bowl with Joe
Jason
Flacco
picked them.
to win a
Jason's
Super
always
Bowl.
wrong.
Jason picked
Yeah, he
them to win
did.
the Super Bowl.
That was a
last
shocking
year.
pick because Jason's
was.
usually the least homer of anybody, and that was an all-time dumb pick.
He got complete.